When your wife says she's done, she really means it. But what if there was still hope to save your marriage even when she's told you there's none? On today's video, you're going to hear from my client's wife about how she was completely done.
There was no changing my mind. There was no anything that could change my mind. I said, this is the person that he is, and there's no changing him.
And how my client applied the ARC system to not only save his marriage, but build back a deeper, more intimate relationship than ever before.
I feel safe and I feel secure. He's now both a partner and a teammate.
Hi, Amber and David. How are you both doing?
Hi,
Good.
we're doing great.
Doing great.
Wonderful. Could you maybe share with us what was going on in your marriage?
I was kind of like a one-woman show in the marriage. He wasn't real involved with the kids. It was really, really rough.
And how long were yourself and David married at that point?
That was what, 12 years? 12 and a half years.
And what had you tried, Amber, to try and get your marriage back on track?
We had done counseling 2 or 3 times at that point. He had read some self-help books.
And at what point was your marriage, if you reflect back to July of last year?
Yeah, I had already felt like things were done probably in maybe October, maybe November. So I had kind of kept silent, and I was hoping that it would just get better and I would just wait for this negative part of the cycle to be over, because we were stuck in this loop where things would go good and then they would go bad. And then there would be this period of, I call it the suck up period. But
The show pony.
yeah, I would just sit and wait for things to get better, and they weren't getting better. And I was like, okay, it's time to let him know where I'm at with things and how I'm feeling.
And that's at that point, then that's where you then tabled divorce, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And just so we're all clear, when you said that to him, divorce, like this isn't taken lightly. You're talking about years of trying to fix things, of being in a cycle, right? So when you said
Yeah.
it to him, were you dead serious when you said it to him, or were you kind of
Yeah.
hoping, leaving the door slightly open for reconciliation, or were you totally done?
I was completely dead set in my decision. There was no changing my mind. There was no anything that could change my mind. I said, this is the person that he is, and there's no changing him.
And so what was your initial thoughts then, Amber, when you found out that he'd enrolled in the ARC system?
I kind of scoffed at him, and I'm like, oh, so you're getting scammed by somebody overseas. That's really great.
Yeah.
We are awesome scammers overseas, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you laughed about it and you thought it was just him wasting his money.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a little bit of a history of poor financial decisions. So I'm like, okay, it's another one of those.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I understand that. So what was then the kind of first sign for you, Amber, that you realized, so can you remember when it was? And what was it, the first sign where you realized, hey, something's different?
Yeah, I think it was right around our anniversary that I started noticing some real change, where I was like, okay, things are definitely very different. But I had started noticing some cracks in the tough exterior, I guess you could say, around August. So it was pretty quick that I started noticing some change.
Okay, so within 1
It
month.
started
Yep.
when we were having these long car rides. Excuse me. We would go out and just go for long drives and enjoy the scenery around us. And I was able to open up, and he was just open to listening, and he was sympathetic. He was not defensive. It was just, it was great. It was really heartwarming for me that I was able to share my experiences with someone with clarity.
Wonderful. And just for everybody that's watching this, David, you're an ice guy, right?
Yeah. And
Right.
I also wanted to note, I had got the communication framework a couple days before joining the ARC system. And so I was incorporating that immediately. And so that's where that came from.
Wonderful. So Amber, how has David changed since joining the program? So you mentioned there that he was able to open up and listen to you. You were able to share with him, so you felt safe to share with him about the grievances from the past. So that's, part of the healing process. How else do you feel like he's changed since joining the ARC system?
I'd say he's changed in almost every way. Almost every day, I'm still finding new ways that he's changing. There's just little things like he used to be very picky about the way that he ate, and he only liked the really big pieces of things. He didn't like little scraps, and I would always try to accommodate that, but he just lets the little things go now, and it's not such a big deal like it used to be. And he's just a lot more open to things and ideas, and he's not always reactive. He actually thinks out things before he says something. Yeah, we get along much easier. He's changed in so many ways, it's hard to even begin.
Wonderful. And so, how would you say that your relationship has changed since he joined the program?
I feel safe and I feel secure. I feel like he's now both a partner and a teammate, and I feel supported.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And can you remember what it was then? What was it that moment? Although I know it's obviously many things happening, and it really, I always tell people this is not a quick fix, and it's not about doing grand gestures. It's about consistency and working on yourself. But for you, Amber, can you remember, was there like one moment where you're like, okay, look, I need I need David
I
back?
think it was seeing how safe I could be with him and the time that I've invested into this relationship, because obviously almost 15 years is nothing to bat your eyes at, you know? And the way that the children have responded, that was probably my biggest thing.
Yeah, please share with us how have the kids responded?
So him and our oldest had a very, very rocky relationship. Um, our son is he's a very timid human being. He is very loving, very gentle, and he had a dad who was none of that.
Cold.
Yeah. When he came to us and told us that he felt like their relationship was going really well, that was a sign to me that things were real.
Wonderful. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, thank you so much, Amber, for sharing your story. Just one final question. So, for a man that's watching this and is in the same situation, now you said you wanted a divorce and it was totally done. What would you say to a man that's watching this and is considering joining the ARC system, but feels like once my wife says she wants a divorce, there's just no chance? What would you say to a man like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The wife is not always going to let you know when the progress is happening. We are in a place where we have a tough exterior up, and even when cracks are there, we're not going to let you know. We're emotionally hardened, and we need time to let that come down.
Would you like to get the same incredible results like David and Amber? Then you need to watch this next video on how to authentically re-attract your wife back.